I got a
Yeah.
question on the agenda.
Yes?
So, I heard there was a change to item J1 as far as, a sleepover, so it's not, I think we should do that under item I and add a I5 for move J1 to I5. And then I took a look at item J2 and I think there needs to be more information on that, so I'd like to maybe just, we'll bring that one back. Okay, so those are my suggestions.
Do I have a motion to?
Yes. I'll move item J1 to item I5 as an information item, and also to table item J2.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now we can move on to secretary time.
At our last board meeting, I mentioned that we had a lot of really talented students, and so I wanted to call up Raleigh Camp. Come on up, Raleigh. Ms. Cohen couldn't be here tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and read what she said. She said, "We have so many talented musicians in the Washington Union School District. What makes Raleigh unique is not just his dedication to learning and improving, but his presence in the Monterey community. You can find him from Salinas to Pacific Grove, workshopping at open mics, and performing at Golden State Theater, which I was able to watch him. It was so fun. Raleigh is and always has been willing to share his passion for as long as I have taught him. In second grade, he performed Weird Al's I Love Rocky Road, singing and playing a small accordion for the entire class. His confidence and positive attitude consistently inspires and uplifts his classmates. It has been a joy teaching Raleigh, and he is so deserving of this award. So before I present the award, I invited Raleigh to come to showcase his skills for the audience as well. So Raleigh, can you play 30 seconds for us of your saxophone? For being so talented and just making such beautiful music, so thank you.
How many years you been playing?
Since November.
Wow.
So you're
Good job, Raleigh.
just kick their butt.
Can you say something? Can you say something?
Oh,
You're done.
yeah.
Give your thing?
Yeah. I have it right here.
You stand there?
You can stand wherever you want.
Welcome everyone. My name is Raleigh Camp. My music friends know me as Raleigh Fingers. I love playing the baritone saxophone. Thank you for letting me rent it, but sadly Ms. Cohen isn't here. Music is awesome. To the board members, please keep the music program alive. I'll help inspire kids. Thank you, Ms. Cohen. She's not here again. You make all of my music classes fun, and you let me play saxophone in 4th grade. You inspired me to play the saxophone with your How to Sew Clarinet Reeds class. Thank you, Miss O'Mary. Thank you for coming to see me at the Hello Radcom band made me feel special that you were there. I played harder for you in the crowd. I'm not sure if Miss Felt's here, but thank you Miss Felt for making my 4th grade year special. You're fun, and you helped me learn more math when you said I could play sax for the rest of the class.
Thank you.
You did great,
Thank
man.
you. All right.
Keep it up.
If you have Instagram, Raleigh Fingers. Wild.
That's pretty cool.
He was featured in the Weekly last week also. The one with the fox deer in the front.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you. We can never top that.
No, never. All right, moving on to organization updates. This is an opportunity for board members or staff to make a brief announcement, make a brief report on his or her own activities.
I attended the special meeting in July.
I attended the special meeting in July, and I've been working with Gina and Gerardo and some other staff members, meeting with the county reps and talking about the Toro bypass and how fun that is. And we had to make some pretty interesting statements. We'll talk more about that under the item for discussion.
And I also attended the special meeting in July.
I attended a special meeting in July. I attended meeting with John of the county, and then the parents meeting down at the firehouse.
I did not attend this special meeting, I was traveling, but I just had a couple of meetings with Gina. This is our last board meeting, nothing else to report.
Yeah, so, kind of a busy summer. I was working with TAMC. I met with Supervisor Daniels a couple times, on the traffic project. And we got back to school in late July, and I hosted an admin retreat for, myself and the principals as we got back to work. We hosted new teacher orientation with all of our new teachers. And then we had our back to school celebration and, professional development last week, and we had a great session on AI, from EDAPT. We also met with Conmigo, to look at their online AI-based tutoring program. I met with the school status company on our mandated cost grant fund. Today I attended a lunch meeting with Dr. Xander Galvan, the superintendent of the Salinas Union High School District, for a monthly Salinas superintendents gathering. I've been doing a ton of classroom walkthroughs and just seeing all of the great stuff that's going on in our classrooms since, gosh, just in the first week, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing back to school. So we're happy to have Mike, and I've got a great admin team, so things are going well. And then we've also been meeting with Brett and Jason and Marcy to talk about the ongoing discussions we've been having regarding the district.
Okay, for me, San Venancio start to school has been fantastic. I think it's gonna be a great year. We have some new teachers that we'll introduce at the next board meeting that I'm really excited about, and I think will bring a really good energy to our campus. So I'm really excited about this year. I think it's gonna be fantastic. I attended the admin retreat that Gina put on for us. I went to new teacher orientation. The AI training that we had as a district. We hosted a new student ice cream party in the Wellness Center with Mr. Abel. We had picture day the other day. We scheduled all of our IEPs for the whole year, and then I've attended a few IEPs at campuses. We have back to school night next Thursday, and then our first dance that I'll let Mr. Harvey talk about will be next Friday the 22nd. So looking forward to the fun spirit week leading up to the dance too.
I finished up summer school as principal. It was a really smooth summer school. I hosted the new teacher orientation before the school year started. We had our first staff meeting. As like Joe, I planned out all the IEPs for the rest of the school year. During summer school, 6th and 7th grade students who were enrolled in week 2 got to go to Ohana. We partnered with Montage, and there was an Ohana day camp, so I went with that group of students, and it was
TK Kinder reception for new families in Toro Park, and we had a great opening. I'm still getting to know the staff and the students, so trying to be as visible as possible in the classrooms and out at recess. We're also supporting the new traffic flow with the county road closure and figuring that out together. Supporting the rollover of all of our educational apps for the start of the school year. And we also scheduled out our IEPs, SSTs, 504s for the year with the special education team. And we're working with the county and our tech team to kind of resolve the intermittent issue that we're experiencing.
Yeah, let's work backwards. At the end of the year, our union got together and we had a vote and voted in our new executive treasurer, Heather Goins, who's our new treasurer. And then we had our new teachers come and our two new mentors were there to greet the new teachers and get them started and get the ball rolling with all of the new things that they need to know about our school. And while they were there, I was at a California Teachers President's Conference, 3 days, 30 hours. I'll let you do the math on that one. It was really long and informative and overwhelming, and we have some back work, late work that we need to work on within our union, get caught up in some things. But overall, well, the teachers are doing the best they can. Our Wi-Fi is a big problem, and every teacher is struggling with it, but we're teachers, so we're adapting.
Congratulations, Heather.
Thank you.
You're all, I'll do it.
I'll just say that next week is Spirit Week, first dance, country western theme, so if anyone has any country western decorations and wanna donate, we're more than welcome, they're more than welcome. We got confirmation with Haydale's are gonna be here, so I'm sure the custodians will just love that.
Already.
And then working with Star, ASB will be, more involved in the Harvest Carnival this year, which I'm sure they'll talk about at some point in the future.
Yeah, we're up and running and we merged successfully, well, from an outward, yeah. No, we are up and running, everyone's really excited. We are hosting the Harvest Carnival this year, a little bit later in October. We're bringing in ASB to kind of absorb that trunk or treat portion of it and be more collaborative on that, regard, not less confusion. Things we're doing pizza. We have a really exciting, we have a mixer planned to try to get more, people involved and more information. So that's really important when we're talking about board meetings. We have a really exciting donation drive coming up. We're securing some really big donations that, we'll hear more about. So hopefully we can get you guys started one day. At any rate, yeah, and, I think everyone's really excited, hopefully the teachers are excited too, and start seeing the excitement from us.
Great. Thank you. All right, community input.
Yeah, we have three, so first is Bree Hogue, grows and glows in the classroom.
Stand up here, make sure you can see me from anywhere.
Grows and glows in my classroom. So I started the year with 26 kids, and they're all really sweet and quiet this year, which is a lot lower energy than last year. If you were ever in my classroom, we did a mystery science on Monday. That was really fun. The kids got to test out with a flashlight which planet they would send a rover that was solar powered, which one they would put it on. Obviously not Neptune, it's too far away, and not Mercury because it's too close to the sun, and it would burn up the rover and catch it on fire, and then we wouldn't have a rover anymore, according to them. Some grows though is definitely the internet issue. It's been a struggle since day one. It's like the moment the kids get logged on and we go to start, it's off. And then we pause for a minute, we pivot, we do what we call old school teaching, and then it comes back on. So we try to rush back onto the computers, and then it goes down again. And yesterday I asked the kids, I said, do we even try to get on the computers? And they all yelled no at me. So I had to pivot really fast to go make copies of my curriculum so then I could teach them what they were supposed to learn. But I invite you all to come to my classroom and see some of the cool stuff that we're doing this year.
Okay, next up, Andy Hogan.
So I just wanna say that I was unable to attend the special, meeting on the community funded plan or idea that's being floated. I did watch the video online, and I just wanna say, obviously no decisions have been made, whatever. But I do want to say that whatever decision is made, and if especially if it is moving away from the status quo, to make sure that it's a model that's equitable for all 3 school sites. Not that it focuses on the elementary at the expense of secondary, or focuses on secondary at the expense of elementary, because obviously, 2 very different worlds between the secondary and elementary. I also wanted to say, if any board action is necessary to approve funding for internet, please approve it. Whatever is necessary to get that going. I was gonna say a couple things about ASD, but I already did, so you're more than welcome to come and visit and see Spirit Week and all that kind of fun stuff, so, thank you.
Okay, Jennifer Frazier.
Yeah, I've been up here before talking about the impact of, the teacher turnover and new teachers on the other staff at the school, so I just wanted to say, thank you to, everybody involved in it, getting us new teacher mentor positions, because, immediately, people knew who to talk to and to write down questions and come straight to me, and so it was really nice being able to kind of start off with everybody feeling, I think, clear on who they should ask, and that it wasn't a bar, it wasn't an imposition, it was just my job. So that was really nice being able to give people their equipment and just answer questions and get them rolling. And then kind of same thing with curriculum, and so I just wanted to thank various admin involved in the new academic writing class, especially I'm doing the 8th grade. Its focus is a little bit less than or a little different from what our traditional grammar class has been. So it's been really neat just starting school off, and they've made SMART goals, and they've started to think about how student skills and making positive connections with their teachers as they're gonna need recommendations, and we're doing very practical life skill stuff, so I appreciate the support on getting that going. And then for the community funded, also I think just everyone's really nervous, so the more clear we can be, and I just would, if the decision is entirely financial, I would hope that we could be very intentional about how the finances will benefit us, because both of the things that I just mentioned are not huge financial impacts, but I'm already seeing them make a big impact on how things are going, even as we have internet, all these other problems, but we've been able to adapt using some of those things that are not a big financial hit. So I just wonder, as we think about if the point is money, what would we be doing with it that would make a big impact?
The academic writing class is great. If you guys want to swing by, Jen's doing a great job, and Kelsey's doing 7th grade. It's a cool idea that Jen brought to the table. So thanks. I appreciate your creativity in that.
Great, that's good. The mentoring program sounds like it's a hit, so that's good.
Moving on to correspondence?
No.
None, okay. Moving on to the discussion information items, enrollment.
Current enrollment is 738.
Report on district curriculum.
If it doesn't work, I printed out as well, so. Alright, so in your notes, I put that all physical curriculum has been delivered to all school sites. The 2024-25 CAS scores have been released to all parents via Parent Square. And what I decided to do, and this was to help me as well, I feel like there's a lot going on in curriculum right now. So I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what I've been working on and just to inform you of what's going on. So first, Originally, Washington Union School District had plans to adopt a new social studies curriculum. However, I had planned over summer, I put a lot of effort into this. I put up a whole timeline and I made sure that it meshed with our Wednesdays that teachers have for collaboration. However, after I met with MCOE reps on Friday of last week, we learned that the California State Board of Education has not adopted any new history or social science standards since the current framework was released in 2016. And what that means is all the curriculum that's available for us to pilot is from 2017. So what that means is right now we went through a curriculum pilot in 2018 and we adopted our social studies in 2019. So we've decided to just pause this year and not go forward with the pilot program because the curriculum that's available is essentially from 2017. So we're gonna go ahead and just pause with social studies, but we'll revisit it when the new curriculum comes out. Are there any questions on social studies? Okay. All right, reading screener. I know I have talked a lot about the reading screener. So I'm gonna work with Mike and come to his Toro Park staff meetings in the future to come up with a date to administer. I've been working with UCSF, which is the company or the university who's funding Multitudes, which is what we adopted as our reading screener. And so upon talking to them, I learned that the screener does not need to be given until at least 6 weeks of instruction. So we could actually potentially give it in December or January. I'm gonna get a feel for how the teachers feel about the administration date. And then I, of course, will present to you what we've decided. Sorry, there's a huge glare, so. I will go over the PD pages that I have in front of you in just a moment, but there's the August 27th Wednesday that will be devoted just for K-2 teachers to do their screener training. It should only take an hour, and it's asynchronous. They could do it in their classroom, they could do it in NPR, wherever they feel comfortable. Are there any questions about the reading screener? All right, First T, this was very interesting. I had a meeting with First T. They said that last year, I had it at my school the whole year. Toro had it for the tail end of last year. It cost them about $40,000 to send the coaches over and do their program. And this year, I got it down to free again, which is great. So the community programs that donate, so example, Car Week is a big moneymaker for them. A lot of people donate to First T, which is great. So we were able to get them for free again this year. So they're gonna start tentatively on September 29th. He said that the coaches are a little bit burnt out from the summer programs, which I completely understand. And since they're doing it for free, I said, whenever you wanna come, we will take it. So they are coming September 29th. One point that my teachers made at Washington is that 5th grade does the physical fitness test, and they felt that when First T comes, there wasn't enough aerobic activity. So we embedded with First T that when they come up to Washington, they'll do a warm-up and some aerobic activity, get them started before they do the First T drills. Are there any questions about First T?
Yeah, so they're
Yes.
doing pitching and putting, or what are they doing?
It's really cool. I like to call it the Washington Union Country Club because there's
Yeah.
literally they turn into a driving range. So there's little stations that the kids go up and they hit the golf balls, and they're a little bit bigger than the normal golf club, if you will. So they're a little bit safer. And then we're all familiar with kickball, but they do kickball but with various golf tools. So they'll use like a big old golf club, they'll use a giant golf ball to hit. So it's really fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it's great that they're doing it for free. That's really nice and fun. Over summer, what I did was I passed out the PD sheets for you. So I mapped out every single Wednesday collaboration day so that you're aware of what teachers are doing for the rest of the school year. I also included when trimesters are ending and just the various PDs that we'll be offering. So in this district, there's 4 Wednesdays in a month typically. 2 of them are reserved for teacher collaboration and 2 of them are district guided. So in there I embedded all of the different teacher collab days and the PDs that are available for them. Are there any questions on that document?
Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you
you're
very
welcome.
much.
Yeah.
Super handy.
It's been done before. I just,
Gonna have to scratch August 20th.
oh yeah. Okay, so instructional leadership team, what that is it's a group of teachers that meet with me. And so this year, I really wanna focus on multiple measures and syncing it with our curriculum. It sounds like there's some teachers who are doing double the work and they don't need to. So the different CRTs that we're gonna be collecting, I really wanna focus on that so that across the grade level, everyone's using the same thing, and across different grade level spans, they're using the same test. Of course, grade level appropriate. This year, what I really wanna do is make sure that teachers are aware of the various professional developments that are available to them through MCOE. They send me a booklet of all the different, like before school, after school, even during school, really cool PDs that are focused on science, different social studies PDs. So when I send out my monthly curriculum update, I'm gonna start embedding those flyers so that teachers are constantly knowing, oh, I can go to this, I could do this. So just that it adds more to their teaching record.
Great idea.
Yeah, alright, thank you.
And then you had to say this to hard drive for presentations, there's no web, so
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of people are doing that.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, moving on to our follow-up discussion.
Okay, at our July 23rd meeting, of course, Brett and Marcy McFadden and Jason List led us in an activity and a discussion about the district and the possibility or the thought about becoming a community funded district, what it might look like, and they led us through an exercise talking about the strengths of the district, the challenges of the district. And so they have come back tonight to do kind of a recap of that discussion and help guide us with next steps. So I'm gonna turn it over to Brett and Marcy and let them take it away.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Brett McFadden, and just for the audience, I'm currently the managing partner with the District Advocates Group. We're a statewide firm that provides school facilities consulting work with school districts. But the bulk of my career I was at the Monterey County Office of Education, where I was the deputy superintendent, and spent my time as a superintendent of a high school district, chief business officer for school district, and such, about a 27-year career. Met your superintendent and your CBO through my work at the County Office of Education, and we became friends and colleagues. And as I'll let my other colleagues introduce themselves as well, but we worked with your superintendent on a number of issues, both from my firm's perspective and then also as colleagues. And so through a dialogue, she asked if it was possible if we could convene a group of local educators as well as experts that have been through similar issues to try to help facilitate with the board through this very challenging situation. So I'll turn to my colleagues and let them introduce themselves.
Sure. My name is Marcy McFadden, and I'm one of the communication persons that they tapped on because we've gone through similar type situations with school districts. I work for a neighboring school district, the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, and I've been there for 12 years, and prior to that I worked at the county office. So I'm really familiar with communications and just the importance of transparency and just trying to help put together just your district, just help facilitate the community engagement and transparency piece and just lend an expertise on that.
I'm Jason with ISO Advisors. Good to see you all again. I probably have a pretty limited role tonight, but wanted to be here just in case any questions came up about either the past bond elections, potential future bond election, how that may look, and kind of re-engage in discussion of the process that would take to entertain that again, if the board so chooses. So I'm here mostly for questions throughout the night. Thank you.
So as I just wanted to reiterate, just for the record, your superintendent is dear friend and colleague, and it's also very, very convincing. We're here out of support to the district, but we have no contract with the district nor any sort of economic ties. So this is I hear that we've been through this similar things before, and so wanted to help a colleague out, and we appreciate your time. So we provided to you a little presentation here, if I may, on this. And so in terms of what we'll cover tonight, real quick, we'll do a recap of the meeting in July, July 23rd, yes, July 23rd, that it was. We'll do a real recap of that. We have documentation that's in your board packet with the notes from that meeting that we developed together with that. We also have a secondary document at the request of the board. We drafted for you a communication and action plan that you could take a look at if you wanted to proceed with some type of decision. That plan is, I would say, agnostic in terms of, it doesn't make a recommendation either way, but provides a guiding framework by which that you could follow for public engagement, public notification, and then ultimately a policy decision on the matter before you. We'll review that draft communication plan and then talk about next steps through that. So just about 4 slides or so, and if you have any questions, please ask. So, and colleagues, please weigh in. I'm known to miss a few things. So the study session focused on, we started with, say, what is special about this district? What makes it Washington Union? And what does it have to offer in terms of community, support to students, the esprit de corps that's here. When we left with that, this is a very special place. This is a district that has a small, tight-knit community where people come in, they roll up their sleeves, they're involved from the standpoint of staff and students, to parents, but even students themselves. And we saw an early example of the talent that you have and wonderful students you have with the young man that was here playing the baritone sax. I didn't know that was a baritone sax. That's what we focused on. We then went in and we talked about the challenges ahead in the immediate future, both in the immediate terms and in the future. And we looked at challenges, say, from a 1 year to a 2 year to a 3 year type of framework. After 3 years, our crystal ball gets rather opaque. We can't, difficult to see after that. We focused then on the needs of the district in terms of the needs for programs, needs for services, revenues, facility conditions and things, and the unique situation that this district finds itself in by being labeled what we call a low wealth district. Now that's somewhat of a misnomer from the state's perspective, but basically what it means is due to the state's formula and how it funds schools with the unique conditions and demographics here for the district, as well as its financial history, is the district gets a lower percentage or lower per student per capita funding than that of other districts in terms of its student demographics, prior history, assessed valuation of properties and such. And because of that, puts the district into a unique situation when compared to its neighbors around it. And then we talked about considerations for data and any information or perhaps a roadmap that the board might need in order to move forward and answer the question before it. Anything you'd like to add? Staff, and board members, we sort of capture our discussion pretty well? Okay. So, the challenges facing the district relative to its funding situation, rising costs associated with special education, the need to expand services. We're educating students, and we've all heard this saying before, we're educating students right now for careers that don't even exist. And so we want to be able to offer students a full range of various services: music, visual and performing arts, academics, instruction, intervention, special student services, social emotional services, the full gamut, and being able to offer that to our services. That's what makes a vibrant district. That's what our product, so to speak, as an industry is we make young individuals that will go out in the world and do great things in the world, and whatever their chosen passion is to do that. And so the implications associated with limited funding and the ability in very limited ways of garnering additional revenues in the future pose significant problems to the district. Many of the conditions that are facing the district are outside of the district's immediate sphere of influence or control, to declining enrollment. Over 70% of school districts now, 70% of school districts in the state of California are facing multi-year declining enrollment, fundamental changes. Los Angeles Unified, for instance, is scheduled to look at possible loss of 600,000 students over the period of the next 10 years. And that's happening up and down the state, largely driven by changes in demographics. We're not having as many kids as we used to on a per capita basis. Also home values, home costs, and things in industry development in the state of California, and that's what we're happening. It's largely out of the control of your district and then many of our other districts as well. The implications of these challenges will likely worsen over time, over the next 2 to 3 years especially, and they're likely not to go away. Declining enrollment, for instance, is projected, at least in this region, to be something that we're likely going to face perhaps over the next 10 years or so. And the conundrum that this has put the district in at this point in time, because of changes in declining enrollment, other funding changes that are happening at the state, and the fact that the district does take in a significantly high percentage of students on an inter-district transfer basis, the confluence of all that and that equation that produces is a situation facing the district sort of on one hand, the district has conducted analysis stating that if it eliminates inter-district transfer students, the loss of those students, as well as the interplay with assessed valuation to local property taxes, will throw the district into the vernacular of what's called community funded. This used to be called basic aid. Basically, what community funded means is that the district has a higher percentage of its revenue coming from property tax. Marcy's district, Monterey Peninsula, actually has a higher percentage of its revenues because it has a much more diverse student body. It has a higher percentage of what we will call low socioeconomic students, or students that are foster youth, homeless youth and such. Her district gets a higher percentage of funding from the state. So they are what's called a local control funded district, and we're receiving a higher pot of their money from state resources. If you were to choose to eliminate inter-district transfers, your inter-district transfer students, that would throw you into community funded, thereby increasing your amount of per student funding from local property taxes significantly. And we provided at the meeting financial analysis that your CBO performed with that. The other area is just remaining status quo, which you have every right to do so from a legal standpoint to do that. But this is where you are at this point in time with that. You also have the possibility of other revenue, we call revenue generating strategies. And unfortunately, in the state of California, there's not much that a school district can do. People are actually, we don't realize that while we have local governing boards that run school districts, we're actually, school districts are subdivisions of the state and under the state's constitution. As a result of that, we're reliant upon state law in terms of where our revenues come from, the funding for our programs, as well as state policy relative to education staffing. So the other limited opportunities to raise revenue would be either a school bond, school facilities bond, that's dedicated revenue for generating and updating your facilities, or looking at the possibility of a parcel tax, and that's an assessment that's placed on your local voters on the local parcels, of which then you would assess them a certain dollar amount. Neither one of those require voter approval. School bond requires 55% approval, whereas a parcel tax requires a 2/3 approval of voters, which makes it very difficult sometimes to pass that. They don't tend to be very popular. In that regard. So I'll pause and see my colleagues, any questions, like, did we capture it or miss anything?
No, you captured it, just to kind of reintroduce the idea of the school bond. I know it's not all about taxes. We tried a couple of different tax rates. In 2022, the measure lost by 0.75%. In November of 24 by 1.6%. From the tax perspective, at a $19 tax rate, that's $18 million in funding. $24 tax rate, $22.7 million, and the maximum that can go under Prop 39 at 55%, you could generate $28.4 million. And I think the school bond and the community funded decision are two different things, but I'm just throwing it out there, something to think about. Depending on which path you choose, is that more helpful for a school bond, or is it more hurtful to a school bond? I don't know that answer. Talking to community members, a survey asking that question could uncover some information. But I just wanted to throw that out there for the board, administration, staff to think about.
I have a question, and I apologize, it's good to see you guys again. I was not at the July 23rd meeting. I read the notes about Regina, and but just for some clarification, with the trending and the declining enrollment that we're all dealing with, and I believe, unless it's changed, last I heard, our trigger number is 620, that kind of puts us in there, really takes the decision away from us. Once we hit 620, we are there, the basic aid. Do we have projections on when we will hit that?
We didn't generate that. You are correct that the 620 is the maximum number on or about. That number can change, depend on assessed valuation and such, and the overall equation. But 620 is the rough figure that, at that point, then you will go into community funding with that.
Right, then the decisions that, we don't get to make that
Right,
decision anymore. Why we're kind of looking at everything right now, I just didn't know
of
you know,
the future
projections,
development,
what
yeah.
we're doing some
I will,
studies on.
I will look to your CBO, I don't know, sorry, yeah.
Gerardo.
Sorry.
Gerardo,
Oh, yeah.
we have mentioned it in the
I know.
past, Gerardo, I didn't know, for some reason, 3 years sticks in my head is kind of what was projected out, but I don't know how, I could be just making that up because of all the numbers and stuff that
So,
we're talking about.
this conversation could go long ways, obviously, but yes, with our enrollment now, I believe we're at 734,
738.
738. I had projected originally 720, so we're not there all the way, and so it's hard to really project it, but I have projected 3 years because this upcoming year we have 8th grader, a big 8th grade class, small, kinder, so eventually it's going to do a domino effect to the point that we might be getting there. The other thing that we have to do, take into consideration is, even though we're at 660 or 670 for the 50 student enrollment, we have to take into account, well, a couple calculations, but those 50 students are not generating, what did you say, 11,000 or 10,000 per people? They're not generating, that's not what's being generated per student. Essentially, that, last time I made a calculation, it was under 3,000. So, that's another thing I like to
It
take into
skews our
consideration.
overall ADN, there's just a pocket of students.
Yeah, so it's,
Bring that
because
down.
we're getting so close to that, like seesaw, that's what they say, is like you're in the verge of being basic aid or community funded and LCFF, and you don't wanna be in that bridge. There is, districts that are at that point where they're 1 year, they're community funded, another year, they're local control funded, and so for us, it's either you go all in or you don't go in at all. So for us, if interdistricts are not in a calculation, we're really in. We're well in, we won't be in that seesaw.
And if I may, through our work with you, we've attempted to be facilitators through this and not to, provide any recommendations as to process and decision-making, but not on the policy necessarily to help you. I would like though, I will give you one recommendation. When I was the superintendent of the Nevada Joint Union High School District, that's in the Grass Valley area outside of, Sacramento. So any of you ever get out of the Monterey Bay area, there's a whole other state. Okay, so up in the hills, it's that beautiful country. I was what was called a basic aid supplemental district, meaning we seesawed. And I will strongly advise you that do not approach that. So 620 would be your magic number. As you get within that range, you will become what's called a seesaw district. And I will tell you from a planning standpoint and the effect that has on your program, staffing, 1 year you're funded high, next year you've lost it because of just these fundamental little changes that you can't predict. So you're issuing layoff notices 1 year, you're hiring the next, and it is a horrible situation in terms of the morale it has and your ability to plan and protect your core programs in the long run. So if I'm gonna advocate, I'm gonna advocate strongly that you have a decision upon you. It's a very difficult decision. You're gonna be happy either way, completely happy with it. And it is going to affect the lives of families and such. But you are also coming to a situation where it may throw you into situations because these are forces that are out of our control, your control. Could potentially throw you into a situation where you may find that disarray. So some decision needs to be made, whether status quo in raising other additional revenue sources, or looking at moving to a community funded structure, as well as then what are other sources where we can garner additional revenues or investments into the district.
And Sarah, to answer your question, I think we could develop something, what was like a best guess scenario on how long it would take to get to that point. I think we can.
Yeah, just
It
to
won't
have a
be-
little, no, I get it, I just, I'd rather make a decision, I'm not saying make a decision this year, I'd rather have the district be put into the position to make the decision instead of being forced into something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Seesaw situation like you mentioned, so, yeah.
There you go.
So we garnered honoring the input from the board as well as, then we also took input that we received from the community and our thought process with that. We sort of developed, sort of next steps recommendation. The board asked us, and I'll ask my colleague, Marcy, to come up and share a little bit of, overview about to adopt a communication and action plan, a process by which you can make a decision. Feedback that we received from the superintendent and then, comments from the community was that if you are going to make a decision, make it in a way that's equitable, make it in a way that protects the balance between secondary and elementary grade, and give families enough notification so they can plan for their lives, moving forward. So my colleague will go over that a little bit. So we said we recommend making a decision relative to interdistrict transfers no later than December or January 2025. We can adjust this plan based on what your desires are, and then determine a strategy or strategies for 2026 relative to facilities and funding, because the 2026 is the election year cycle. Anything you want to cover?
No, I believe Brett had sent like a draft, communication action plan, and I think it's so important, no matter which way you go and through this whole process, to engage the community, be transparent. So it had pretty much certain months and a couple phases, and the first one obviously is like the information gathering, getting all the data, some of the questions you're asking, so that we can go out to the community, both internal, the staff, and then external, parents, guardians, community, over the next couple months to have engagement, sessions, information sessions. Also, the superintendent pushing out information to families, to staff, so people know every step of the way, even following up from this evening's board meeting, because obviously not everyone's here, but to do a quick summary. So obviously, there's the foundational piece, and then the second piece would be to go into like a full-blown, community input round where you do the town halls, where you do, meetings with staff and so forth. And then also at the same time, back up a little, is we had talked about doing a committee, right? And so over the next, once the board decides which way they're going to decide about this committee and how this committee is gonna be made up to help be part of these meetings and help guide and lead it. Then after we go through the first round of community input, it would be going to come to the point of where we talk about drafting options and a timeline, to get to whether it's the December timeframe or if the board decides a different timeframe. Then we back it up so that we can go back out for a second round of engaging the community, letting folks know, getting feedback loops and circles, and then leading up to the board's timeline to make that decision. And then even after that, then you still have to follow up, like, what does this mean for staff? What does this mean for families? So it's always this 24/7 cycle of communication. So pretty much that's a draft, just high-level overview. It's not all the tactical pieces, because that has to happen over the next coming weeks and months.
So Madam Chair, that's our overview and presentation, and we stand ready for any questions, and then would encourage board dialogue, so you can give us some input in terms of next steps.
Yeah, this is gonna need more study. I mean, I appreciate you guys putting forth these suggestions for timeline. I have my own thoughts on it. I'm still, coalescing. But we're gonna need, this is a very, limited time frame to discuss a lot. We gotta do some data collection, or there's gonna do some more reports. So, but yeah, the community engagement part, I would think we should get that going and have a committee established. That's something we talk about in March and April anyway. And I think when we first started talking about this.
Yeah.
Right? And, so we should do that. What are your you said committee shouldn't be more than what? 10 people or?
Yeah, that was me. I think at one point someone had said upwards of 25.
Oh, that was me, yeah.
Okay, and
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, no, you could do that, you definitely could do that, but I would recommend it being upwards of no more than 10 to 12 people at the most. And obviously you want representation from the various schools and, and groups and so forth, but I just want once you get that big, it gets really unruly to try to like hear all the voices and to have equity in the conversations and stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't wanna preclude people and like discourage people, but I think it starts with like a town hall.
Yes.
Get a show of hands, say who's interested in that, and then you're gonna have to make some kinda like random or equitable, pare down. So I don't mind starting with active people that wanna be involved with it, that's really, maybe I wasn't clear on that. But we need to distill that pretty quick.
Yeah.
We
Well,
get that going.
and for my clarity, and sorry, really read through everything, but just so I'm clear in my mind, so we wanna make a decision in December.
Correct.
That
That's
is-
what the
that is
goal
what
is.
we're, at our December meeting, we are making a decision whether we are gonna go community funded or stay status quo where we are. And so
Correct.
between now and then, we need to figure out.
Based upon what we're all gonna learn,
Yep.
that is the goal.
Okay.
If you push too far into the next year, it strings stuff out and it's not fair to just go
I
the whole process.
100% agree, we need to do this sooner than later.
Correct. So
To
that
make a
this-
decision one way or another.
This education process and group discussion will, 4 months should be an adequate amount of time, gather reports, projections, getting input. Then you can do an analysis over a month-long period based on everything you've learned and make a decision. That's kind of an oversimplification, but I think it's possible.
I hope it's possible. This whole thing scares me. I think it's very short to make a real decision on something that's so momentous for our district. You know, 3 months, I mean, yeah, I hope we can do it. I get your point. We can't be on the bubble all the time, will we, won't we? But 3 months is not a lot of time to gather community members together and do the kind of research that you're talking about and have the full-throated conversation. I appreciate what Marcy's put together with this plan to get some town halls going immediately. But, you know, I'm on board with this, but I'm really scared.
I am too.
If I could interrupt, I don't wanna interrupt your discussion as a board, it's a good, rich, important discussion. Part of that came out of feedback to me from parents, specifically some inter-district parents, really concerned that they don't wanna feel strung along. If we're gonna, if this is the board's intent, and this is a huge decision that has to be made, make it sooner rather than later so families can figure out their next steps. So I'm with you. At the outset, I wanted to make sure that we gave this its full due diligence in terms of time, but there's also the other side from families saying, just let me know. So it's a hard decision. I understand the need for time. I feel the same way, but I also don't want families to feel like we're stringing them out. So I think that's an important consideration.
And I think the reason moving it to the December is a lot of times when you look at districts and the enrollment, a lot of schools and school districts, they're enrolling between January and February. So if you waited to make the decision till spring, then really and you wanna communicate out to families, it's too late for them in the 26-27 school year. You'd have to do this, but then wait to push it out for 27-28. So it's really.
Which is a possibility too.
It's a possibility,
Yeah.
definitely, but just in terms to your point about letting families know, many school districts, that's the time you're like going through the enrollment and January through March of the spring is when you're doing that.
So, let me just respond to that. So, that's plenty of time to make a decision, move forward or don't.
In your opinion.
No,
So-
well, do you need 4 months? How much data do you need to say, no, we're gonna stay right where we're at? I'm just trying to oversimplify it on the opposite side of your fear.
Yeah.
So we'll just go status quo. We got a ton of input, and whatever was proven, you stay right where you're at. Right, so for your consideration. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we watch the school budgets every year, it's like, this is the color, things change, and,
Yeah.
you know, Gerardo's looking at how our numbers are gonna continue to fall. We are a different kind of school district here. We don't know, I mean, we do, we've seen the numbers going, I wish they weren't going, because I think, it bothers me. I feel like we're heading towards shutting our doors to people who can't afford to live in our district, and that bothers
idea that we're gonna shut the doors because people can't afford to live in our district bothers me. That's where we're going, the numbers are there, we'll gather the data and we'll look at all of this, but that's the fear I'm talking to right now. That's what you hear in my voice.
I get it, and I think we all concur on that. It's not an easy decision. And back to your statement on changing, we had a spike in kinder enrollment in, right, in like the last month or something that changed our numbers and the projection. We were trending towards last year's kinder having 60, and this year we're at 70 something, right?
About 70 right now.
70, so we had, that's an anomaly of 10, which is a spike rather than a decline. What we've seen is declining enrollment, so that's the kind of stuff Claire was like, well, what does that look like, you know, in so many years? Well, if we just gain 10, that just keeps us kinda in that middle zone, in status quo. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have to make some kind of decision based upon the best data that you can get, right? And what's become very apparent is we're the, I don't even remember we're the poor district or whatever we are, we're the least funded in the whole district. We get the least amount of state funding to fill any gap we have. It's so bad that like Sprinkles gets double what we do, right? And I think we've all seen that data. It's terrible, right? So that forces you to have to like reconsider different things in addition to declining enrollment, which pushes that whole thing along too.
Right.
So,
Well, as Sarah said, if we don't make a decision, it's made for us.
there you go.
But then we don't go from 620, we go to 420, and then what does our
Maybe,
district look at?
it might be 380. Right, you gotta look at all those aspects, so that's where we got a lot of data, I think we need to like define what you need, when. So I just wrote down like, if we just had some basic financial summaries, like enrollment trending, where do you think we're at? What is, based upon a few scenarios, what would be our max amount that we would generate as community funded total? Cause I think we talked about this, we need that number because then you can't staff plan until you know what that is. So you would check that at 400, or excuse me, 420, 400, 380. We don't know where we're gonna settle in, but look at those different scenarios. And then do some yearly projections based upon that, maybe for the next decade, status quo and that, see what that turns out to be. The numbers that you provided for our tax revenues are nuts. I had no idea. Did everyone see the numbers of the district valuation in billions? Tax revenue? Yeah, kinda crazy, right? And to answer your question about like, hey, what are we gonna do? Do we pass a bond? Well, if we have 400 kids, then we're just maintaining what we got and maybe renting out other stuff for revenue streams. We're not building these things. We definitely need our safety improvements, and we definitely need our parking lot improvements. Everybody loves the traffic around
We
here
need
now.
internet improvements.
Absolutely,
We've got,
Your need-
our issues of very.
Your need for modernization, enhancement to all of your campuses exists regardless of what decision you make.
Right, there's maintenance, and then there's like, you know, we put it out there on the bond, like we were gonna do a science program that aligns with FFA and our ag community, maybe feeder schools, the poly, but that got shot down, right? We're not gonna quit like being innovative and come up with fun stuff that's engaging, right? So, but like, some of that takes money, there's no doubt about it, so.
I got a quick question for you. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna have to be done for communication and, a ton of work, you know, we're gonna have to do in communities, and it's gonna be at night,
Yep.
weekends and things like that. In addition to running a school district.
Correct.
Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's my concern with the timeline, is making sure that we have the ability to communicate and do your normal.
Correct.
The hard job that we
Yeah.
have already, so the team feels like they're gonna be able to put together and get, like, that's a realistic timeline just from your operational standpoint, that's something that you can.
I mean, there's no doubt about it, the next 3 months are gonna be a little bit hard.
I just wanna make sure it's
But,
solid.
you know,
Okay.
it's,
I'm gonna keep
it's
every month we
necessary
can, we
to the
got 4
process.
months. 4 months.
we'll lay out
Take it
a meeting schedule, and we'll get the community meetings going in September. And then from there, hopefully by mid to late September, we'll get our community based on community input at those first couple of meetings.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
go to
sorry,
community
yeah.
meetings and then you get a committee from those people, and then we'll be hearing updates along the way as we're
Yep.
going through what their feedback is.
Yes.
and
Based on some of
different
Marcy's stuff, we'll
ideas and
develop a
summaries
communications
as well.
plan with some regular output through Parent Square and notifications.
Well, I'm sure she'll have one of us on the board
Sure.
on the committee, so we're.
How about community members outside of our school district as well? How are you able to reach those as well? Try?
Yeah, well, make some phone calls, and I have a few in mind. I've talked to some people over the summer, you know, got some interest based on some conversations I've had, so we'll see what we can do to get some community interest on the committee.
Two things, one is, do you need to hire somebody for the next 3 months as an assistant to help you with some of the administrative stuff?
I mean, I think it would be great, but I wanna be sensitive, you know, to the budgetary issues, and so, yeah.
Well, think about it,
Yeah.
and come back to this, cause I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot to be done. And then, to Sarah's point about having a board member on the committee, I'm wondering if that is a good thing or not, whether the committee should do the committee work and then present to us as a board, rather than having board representation. What, do you
Yeah,
have a thought on
recommendations.
that?
Should there be a board member on the committee, or should the board remain away from it?
It's really, you know, it's really your community culture and your decision. What makes me nervous sometimes about having a board member on the committee is that sometimes, committee members might not feel like they could speak freely about it, and then you would also hate too, for whatever happens in the committee, in those smaller conversations, to taint or sway, a board member's decision. I feel like the committee should be, you know, this representation, they do their work and then work with staff, superintendent or, you know, whatever an admin is, then to come up with just some final, just like decisions and recommendations, if you will. And it's a committee really to go through the data that you all will see, but then this committee also can help, you know, be that third eye too.
Right.
I agree, yeah, that would just take up a valuable spot, and they can help report out and gather the input, so, those board members. One of the things I was thinking about, if we can those are a lot of good ideas, but I think we're gonna make it a little smaller or combined, but like town halls, we're probably gonna have to establish special board meetings that just align with those, so we can all be in attendance.
Yeah.
Right, for those, so I see us doubling our board meetings for the next 4 months, right?
I mean, you could do that, and I agree with you, there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's just a lot of different ideas, but we can definitely, based on the timeline, and where we decided to call it down, but
I'm not saying to call it, I'm saying to necessarily
Yeah,
pull it,
combine.
get it to where it's consolidated, and board
Make it more efficient.
meetings are the best public forum
you
there
could,
is.
yeah, you could tag it on, I don't know, like, you could tag it on as before or after, or whether it's part of it, you still have to do your board business,
Yeah.
but you might kind of like get muddled, maybe like, for example, our back to school night's coming up soon.
Tomorrow.
That's kind of bad, but like, you could tie it on, like what you said, to some existing meetings or whatnot.
The board members, under the Brown Act, the board members may attend,
Yeah.
all five of you may attend an event together, so long as you're not conducting business. So if you're observing, the Brown Act lets you do that, both as citizens and as board members.
That's good to know, but it's like, what's that?
Just don't talk to me about it when you're there.
Exactly.
Well, I sort of heard two different things, so I wanna get some clarity, if you don't mind. We talked about board members not being on the committee to keep it free from that sort of influence or possible influence. But now we're talking about making the community meetings special board meetings, so I'm hearing two different things, am I
I think you were
confused?
talking about community engagement, not the committees.
Yeah, and updates, I mean, why don't we just do that?
I think he was saying more just he wants to hear regular updates of what. the
Oh, of
meeting
course.
is
If we wait till
instead
once a
of-
month, we could use that as a vehicle, and then we have like published, you know, updates.
Yes,
if
you could
will.
do that, a member of your advisory committee
Right.
can come, or members of that advisory committee, can come, because it's quite possible there'll be different perspectives in that committee.
Absolutely.
And they can come and provide those updates to the board on an ongoing basis. And then, when you conduct, community meetings, board members, you're citizens as well, so you're welcome to come to meetings or public meetings and such. We would advise in this case that you remain at the policy policy setting level, but we're not, if you show up, we're not gonna kick you out.
Understood. Yeah, but I appreciate the framework, I'm just saying, everyone, we're giving good input now, but it's just starting, and so we gotta get something going.
One of the things I think has been good about this whole process so far, it's a very stressful decision, a very hard decision.
Yep.
It's been the tone at which the board and everybody in the community has approached it with, looking at problem solving about what can we do that's best for our schools and for our students, and I just really hope that follows through and makes some meetings as well. So
Yeah.
whatever you need to do, keep that sort of problem-focused tone and committee
Yeah.
would be really helpful. That was,
Yeah.
hopefully make it so people maybe are impacted by this decision
Sure.
already understand
Yeah.
and are not going to have hard feelings at the end about
Gotcha.
whatever
Yeah.
one way we go.
Yep.
Not everybody's gonna be happy one way or the other.
Sure.
No, no one's gonna be happy, and it's not just, this is a hard decision, and we need to look at everything, and it's not just something that we've decided like, oh, okay, you know what, I think we're gonna go basic aid, and we're gonna give you a decision by December, like, there's a lot more to that, and I'm scared, and I'm nervous, and I'm fearful, because going that route, it completely changes everything about this district. But again, this is also a decision that is, or a, I don't wanna say a problem, this is an issue that's out there, that's coming, whether we want it or not. So there's gonna be a decision that's gonna have to be made, whether it's in December or holding it off, but it's there.
That's
It's
kinda what
coming.
I'm saying.
It's coming, it's there, and I don't like it.
I did put
I don't
together
like it,
just a
but-
packet, and this little packet here is really, it's just information, with some of the public comment that we've heard over the summer. I wanted to look at our level of, in-district versus out-of-district activities, volunteerism, discipline, and student achievement. So we looked at our data, we put something together for you. So the first little bullet, is volunteerism. What I did it 2 ways. I had, a list of all of the volunteer activities by parent or by, adult, in each of the schools. So I generated that list based on input from the school sites. So looking at each school individually, in district, San Bernardino Middle School, 67% of the volunteerism was in district families, 33 out. Washington Union was 62 in, 32 out, or 38 out. Toro Park was 62 in, 38 out. And then what I did was I compiled a list of the entire district. So by doing that, I look at, there may be some parents who volunteer at all 3 schools, and they were on all 3 lists. I generated one list, I eliminated the duplicates, and I had one list of single names, total number of adults who volunteered in the schools for any reason at all throughout last 24-25 school year. In district total was 62 in district, 38 out of district. So volunteerism stays, relatively close to what our numbers are in terms of the balance. And then we looked at our CAP, our student achievement data. So if we look at language arts, 67% of all students scored at or above standard. That's district-wide. When I take that number of students, in district, 62% were in district, 62% of those students were in district, while 32% were out of district. Looking at math, 60% of all students scored at or above standards. Of that number of students, 61% were in district, 39 were out of district. And the CAST science test, 48% of all students scored at or above standard. Of those students, it was a 50-50 split in district versus out of district. And then the last data set we looked at was discipline. Suspensions was a little bit of a disparity. Out of district students had, was it 12, I think 12, Joe? 8 and 4, yeah. The 8 and 4, total of 12 suspensions, 8 out of district, 4 in district. Number of suspensions. Yeah. that's an interesting number. I don't put a lot of stock into that particular data set. It's very few suspensions, and that can go year by year. We've had years where we had no suspensions at all. Last year, Joe had a couple, and this includes Washington Union as well. A couple of incidents that involved multiple kids. So that's I don't know how accurate or how much stock I would put in that particular piece of data. Detentions was fairly even. Behavior infractions at Washington, slightly ahead on in-district versus out-of-district. White slips at Toro, a few more in-district versus out-of-district.
And these are percentages, not incident, quantity of incidents.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and so, you know, when I look at it, the point that emerges, or the piece that emerges is there's nothing that drives this discussion. We're not, you know, I don't want out-of-district families to think that we're trying to, you know, get rid of them. There's no driver that says this is what we need to do because of, right? What we're looking at is enrollment trends, declining enrollment, how it's impacting our budget, what we need to do for the future health of our district moving forward to maintain what we have and what we know of this district. And that's a big, large conversation filled with a lot of emotion, and it's a stressful decision that you are going to be faced with. So we're gonna try to gather as much information as we can. The intent with this is just, it's another piece of information that shows what we're doing in this district.
Gina, thank you for doing that. We need empirical data like this, right? I recall one statement that said 90% of the volunteers were all inter-district.
Yeah, I think somebody did come and make a statement somewhere in that nature, and so, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate this because this is what we need just facts.
Sure.
Move it forward. So this is kind of a culture and, you know, a lot of good data that we can derive from this. I'd like to see some more of the cost data too, and I think everyone's already working on it.
Yeah.
And that'll be presented at some future meeting.
Absolutely.
Probably at a special, John.
Could be.
Well, I do just wanna thank Brett and Marcy and Jason
Yeah,
for,
thank you so much for
offering their time and their expertise to us, really appreciate it, so, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So much.
Thank you for all that.
Okay. So I am going to move on to action items. Oh, I just wanted to just move on. Let's hear about traffic, I'm sorry.
I will try to be really brief and succinct, but I did participate in the meetings over the summer. I had a couple of meetings with Supervisor Daniels and her staff and some community representatives, TAMSI included. Adam and I attended the community meeting at the firehouse in July. So essentially, TAMSI has, along with the county, they've created another pilot project. The pilot project at Torero ended. The funding was done based on some of the neighborhood community input. They didn't like, the community members didn't like the 24/7 solution to a 2-hour problem, and didn't like the blocked access on Torero. The recommendation was to move the barricade. Initially, they essentially kind of put it in the school district's lap and said, this is what we want you to do. I said, that's, no, not feasible for us. From a staffing perspective, from a liability perspective, I was not in favor of it. I brought it to you all, and I think you all shared the same sentiment with me. So we took that back to them. They went back to the drawing board, did a little more work. They did not change the location of the barrier, but they did get the county involved, so the county service agency, CSA, holds the permit. That requires, that closure on Portola Drive requires a special permit because a school day is considered a special event. So they have a permit to temporarily close Portola Drive for 3 hours every day. That's what that permit does. They carry all the liability. There is county staff, if you've been through there's county staff that shows up every morning at 6 o'clock. They put all of the barricades up. They stand out there and monitor it, and help us to direct traffic. Over the summer, we did some looking at our parking lot at Toro Park. I was a little bit worried about potential cut-through traffic figuring out that you could go all the way through the Toro Park parking lot to get to the other side and still cut through. Gerardo and Mike put cones out every day. We fixed that little jut out of the parking lot that helps the buses make that curve in front of the school. They have cones out there, so we have blocked sort of the old drop-off area. We allow buses through. We allow the Time for Me and the DHH employees to go through. So Gerardo and Mike are doing a fantastic job of
Thank you guys.
monitoring
Talk about
traffic.
wearing a bunch of hats, now you're parking.
So
control.
far, it's been pretty smooth. A drop off in the morning at Toro Park is really lovely. Families can gather outside the gate, watch their kids walk in. We don't have cars at the curb. We don't have people hurrying through that parking lot. Really the biggest sort of complaint we've heard is residents on the west end not able to make a right-hand turn out of the parking lot to get back home after they drop their kids off. Having to turn left, go back out to Portola, get onto Highway 68 to come back to Torero to go home. It's a pain in the neck, but they go back.
Drive, right?
Or they can
drive to the stop
if they-
sign and
yeah.
walk across.
Yeah. You can park at the corner and walk in, it really is possible. And so kind of, you know, the sentiment from Tansy over the course of all the meetings is, nobody's gonna get everything they want. You're gonna have to give something to get something, and everybody's gonna have to make a few concessions to get something that kinda almost works for everybody. And so, I think it's going pretty smoothly. The traffic at Toro Park in the morning's been pretty okay.
Thank you for all the work you've done to see this
Yes,
through to this
thank you.
point.
You've
So,
been taking one for the team.
yeah, it's been a lot, but, so right now, the county is coming every day at 6 AM. It's a pilot project. What happens when the money runs out on this?
Same thing, they'll go back, they'll do their analysis, they'll do their information gathering. I've seen Doug from Tansy out there in the morning, you know, counting cars and talking to people. They'll do their community meetings, they'll gather input, they'll get the feedback. If people are in favor of where this barrier is, eventually, the plan then would be to put some sort of a permanent electric arm gate or something that would go down at 6 AM and come up at 9 AM.
And this is projected to stay throughout this school year, correct? And only,
Good time frame. I don't
only
remember what
on,
it's-
and I think
I don't-
it's only on school days. So
Only on
when the-
school
when
days.
School days
Yeah.
are not in, it
Nope.
will not.
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't remember what the time frame was, do you?
I do not remember the time.
The article said a full year.
A full year?
Okay.
Right,
It
yeah.
lasts a year, so I
Okay.
I remember them talking about the permit lasts a year, but I don't remember them mentioning how much funding they actually did, so.
The loss causing cost.
Yeah.
So, what we're looking at though, if that parking lot piece works, we're looking into what, you know, what it might be to try to put in an electronic gate in the Toro Park parking lot that would allow limited access through that area. Let the buses go through so they can stay on their path, but, it blocks any sort of cut through.
Can I make a few statements? Okay, so Gina's been meeting on this, and TAMSI is basically an arm of Caltrans, right? They're the county rep. They tax us more here than they do with your regular state taxes to feed TAMSI, and there was 200 million plus set aside for the roundabout thing. So there was talk about timelines, that's been a year gone, and nothing has been going on. Kate took over as supervisor, she met with us, she was very gracious, she goes, you know, I'm still trying to get my arms around this, but in her interpretation, based upon what Tansy told her, the school was the problem for the traffic on Highway 68. I'm glad I'm hearing laughs.
The first she
'Cause
knew
I
of
said-
any of it was at our first community meeting, that was a Zoom meeting, I think, at the first part of July.
So she's trying to like digest all this, and she's like, well, wait a minute, they did all these reports, but it's the school's fault? I mean, clearly that's a joke, right? So we made some pretty strong statements like, we're not at fault, and when 68 is 4 lanes the whole way, all the way out to Highway 1, then you'll have less traffic, right? And they had not, we brought up to them, hey, when are you gonna do these time light things? You know, and we brought up a bunch of different stuff. It was basically, we didn't really have a choice, but they were, well, at least we turned the narrative around where like the school's the problem, when clearly it's not. I mean, all summer there's been traffic along there, it ebbs and flows quite a bit. So we made those statements to them, and then a week and a half later, they said, hey, we're gonna, so she got her message through on the time lights. You know, you're like, when is this gonna happen? So she was actually able to get that through. Those are all county roads out there too, so everybody knows, I learned that. I mean, it makes sense, right? But there's no HOA that would take care of roads, it's all county. So that's why the county can come in and go, hey, we're closing your road, and by the way, we're gonna use your parking lot too, even though we don't have your permission. You know, they just muscled their way in there. I just want everyone to know, like,
Yeah.
perception and reality still is pretty bad out there.
But it is going well, so I'm happy to report it's going well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, and I'm happy for my end, cause I'm the end with the traffic. I know you're probably in school by then, but like, I don't have a little girl coming home being like, oh, somebody ran a stop sign and almost hit me, like, that doesn't happen anymore, right?
That's good.
So it's
Yeah,
fabulous.
those are good things.
because-
Two car show trucks trying to do the bypass, and I heard from Gerardo, I mean, like, every day is gonna be a different story.
Back out, yeah. Yeah. Perfect. All right.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
No, I can't go to action yet.
I know what I-5
We moved
is.
action.
I know what I-5
Oh,
is.
yep, so now we're on I-5, information, Lily.
I'm gonna go super fast, so. Yes, I will. Okay, so I originally was planning on doing an overnight camp out at Washington. I think I was a little too like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm gonna make it just a movie night. So it's no camping, but it's just gonna be a movie night. So I made this slide kind of tacky on purpose so you can see the layout. So it's gonna be at the Washington Union School field. So we're gonna have concessions right here. The projector will be donated by her who just left, and then parents can come with their lawn chairs and their blankets. It's going to be $15 per family member unless you guys have, you have another idea. It's gonna include watching the movie, 1 hot dog, 1 bag of popcorn. We're gonna ask that it's exact cash or check. The proceeds will go towards the Washington Union School Gold Rush trip. Down here, I mentioned it's getting more and more expensive. So last year, I wrote a check for $10,000 just for the buses, so they're really expensive. Each camper is $200 a night, that's just for the lodging, so that doesn't even include the bus. So last year, we asked $400 per student for just 1 night. This year, I'm really sad to report, it went up to $294 per night, and that's just the lodging, and that's not even including the bus. So I'm hoping that we get a lot of donations, and this night is really successful, and I hope it's a legacy night, so that every year we potentially can make more money. We could have the potential to make 3,000 plus, and this was a really weird thing. I booted up my computer, it actually turned on, the internet worked, and I thought to myself, how am I gonna get 250 hot dogs? Monterey Bay Orthodontics sent an email, the internet worked, I opened it, they said that they will donate money to my school. So I said, would you like to donate hot dogs? And they said yes. So they verbally committed to donating all the hot dogs and all the candy. The barbecuer will come from the district office, which we already have. I already have someone who volunteered to barbecue the hot dogs for me. All admin team members have agreed to help. And I'm looking into portable lighting for the bridge and the blacktop, and potential movie ideas that I got from my wonderful teachers is Shrek, Sandlot, Finding Nemo, or Ratatouille. And this is the flyer that I made that I'm hoping to send out in the next couple of weeks. And lastly, the proposed date is Friday, September 26th. The reason I chose this date is it's the Friday of parent-teacher conferences, so if we have any issues at school, I could probably solve them by noon, and then I have the rest of the day to set up. Gates open at 6:30, the sun will be going down that day at 6:58, and it is not supposed to be raining, and the movie will start at 7:30, so that it is nice and dark. And that is it.
That sounds fantastic. So this is informational, I will say, why don't you just round it up to a 20 if it's a fundraiser? Yeah. I think you'll get.
Are you gonna sell extra hot dogs?
And then say, or whatever else you can.
Oh, I thought you were each person.
Well, no, I changed
Per
it for
family, that's a deal.
I changed it to $2 for a meal.
You might be losing money at 15.
Yeah, you can be a member.
Well, you guys can email me.
Okay,
That-
yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
there was more of that.
Okay.
That's better, Lily.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily. All right, now I can move on to action items. So I'm gonna jump down to,
Three.
Three, is approval of proposed tuition increase for WSD student.
Hi, I'm Charlene. Thank you very much for your approval that board, the board for the tuition increases last time around. Where I had an oversight and I did not include the drop-in fee. And so it's a really simple two-step thing that I just looked tonight and added to our drop-in fee from $32 to $40. One of the oversight that I didn't have was $23.50 a day, right? If you break it out with our tuition. But right now, the drop-in rate, which I forgot to raise, is only 24. And so, in order for that to really work, we need to do another split, so I'm gonna raise it up to $40 from 32. That's the one thing I'm looking for approval on. And then the second thing I'm looking for approval on is moving our substitute rate up from $17 to $18. It's hard to get substitutes, you're asking them to come to work for 2.5, maybe 3 hours, and, they, you know, I guess you'll say the labor market out there is paying more than other places. So I just wanna raise that, and then, get your approval on changing. And that was a notice, I apologize for that, not catching up the last board meeting. But, they also wanna report that having just the one rate, PK and up, is fabulous. You know, I don't know why I didn't see that sooner, but it's fabulous and it's working out really well. And we are, as a report on this program, all our programs are full right now.
So, Sharon, how many drop-ins do you get in a typical week, for instance?
It's usually 1 or 2 kind of a thing.
Very small.
It's, you know, it depends, you know, on a Wednesday, for example, it's collab day, it's more frequent. Right now, I only have 2 people who are even enrolled to use drop-in, but in the past, I've had up to like 15 people, you know, using it, and it's random when they use it. And it's also, the process for it is prepaid, pre-planned, so we get it under check, because the administrative process of chasing and making sure it gets billed is but it's a service that I wanted to provide, and an opportunity when we did have a day where I have movement in the room in the classroom, I think we're going to focus somebody going to need that for 1 day.
How many days do you actually provide? So.
Any day that you want, the way to drop in works is you can say, I only want to, you know, kind of come in on Wednesday, and I kind of, it's really like, it kind of goes on like this. Like every day we do a count, how many do we have, how many do we have, how many do we have. And I get a feel for what's our flow of attendance, and so when someone is telling me I'd like to be in that program, I'll have a sense of what we're at, not to mention parents let me know their kids are gonna be absent, and all of that data kind of going on at the same time. So the most frequent time that it happens is on a Wednesday, or parent teacher conference days. And then I have a teacher right now, for example, who, she needs it for her daughter for collaborative on Wednesdays, and on all the other days, she just comes and hangs out in the classroom and collaboration time is there.
Have you polled any of the drop-off parents about the increase?
Have I?
Yeah, said, hey, I'm thinking about increasing. Have you had any discussion with the people that?
About changing the rate?
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, it's, and like I said, right now, nobody's even used it since the beginning of the year. I had some people because of the situation with the buses running later than expected, you know, last year the buses were right at 7:10 taking to Washington, now they could arrive more like 7:30. So I have parents from that school asking to get their kid into the morning. And then I had one who just said, I just need to use it one morning. I said, well, you can, and I'm not changing the morning drop-in, by the way, that's still $10. This is just an oversight on my part for the afternoon. So I don't have, I haven't.
So this is a budgetary solvency issue. We projected it out and that makes everything balanced by doing this change.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So it's needed to make your stay in the black.
Yeah, well, it's also to make sure it's not taken advantage of, because I have people who pay tuition for the whole year and pay $22.50 a day, and then all of a sudden somebody can just, you know, say, I wanna be in drop-in at $24 and not, you know, not own that part of being part of the, you know, our family.
I get it, yeah, I just needed to understand the logic behind it a little more. Okay, and I have no problem with the rate increase for staff.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we talked about, is like, you gotta make sure you're stay solvent and.
Right, and
move
that
forward.
is definitely why, you know, when the last two meetings that I had, that's when I was bringing a couple of different things, and we came to that one, and so.
Sure.
This one was solid.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the.
Okay, and a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Alright,
thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on to approval resolution 2025-26-01, establishing temporary interfund transfers of special or restricted fund.
This is an ed code provision that allows the school district to move money between funds. So we have, there are various funds for different things. Ed code allows us to temporarily move a fund if we need to for fiscal purposes. And then we have a statutory timeline in which we have to replace those funds.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
And roll call?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright. Okay, moving on to number 5, approval resolution 2025-26-02, the education protection account, EPA expenditure plan. Sorry. That's okay.
Okay. This was Prop 30 back in 2012. Sorry. It's a, it's a temporary tax increase. Sorry.
Jim, get some water.
Mike and Adam.
Oh,
Brand new
sorry.
one. Brand
We're
new one.
never in that big a hurry where you're not comfortable.
Yeah, second.
Sorry about that.
Take some time.
Okay, this goes back to Prop 30 that was passed in 2012, temporarily raises the sales tax for all taxpayers and personal income tax for upper income. Those revenues go into a special account that allows the state to disperse the general fund revenues. It cannot go to salaries, it requires board approval. And then we post that report on the website that shows how we're spending the money.
Go to the motion to approve.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you notice how it's based upon the local control funding formula? And what are the implications for that if we go to community funded?
Yeah, I don't know how we're affected by the Education Protection Act, or I was still here. If we were to go to community funding and we're based solely on property tax revenues, I'm not sure that would, I don't know how that would change our status in terms of this account.
Totally get it. Currently, we're funded this way.
Yes.
So based upon that, I will move to approve this resolution, but let's look at that.
Yeah,
Let's
I'll ask
look at-
Gerardo and I'll get you an answer for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion by John to approve. And a second? Second. All those in favor? I'm sorry, it's a roll call. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright. Moving on to approval resolution 2025-26-3. I'm just gonna say assignment of delinquent tax and like you can, that's all.
So every year, we go through a process. Monterey County has a delinquent tax receivables fund that gets delivered and dispersed to school districts. It's a 3-year cycle, so based on some of the volatility in the market, the TCM, which is the Tower Capital Management Group, proposed a framework that adjusts the premium rate so that it allows, as conditions change due to the volatility in the market. But they have a meeting every October, and then they assign those receivables. We receive them as a district as they're dispersed by the county. So this is just the new 3-year cycle for those receivables.
There's a motion to approve. And a second?
I'll second.
And a roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Moving on to approval of resolution 2025-26-4 to assign Scott Funk to teach departmentalized classes.
So Mr. Funk has a single subject credential that allows him to teach history, but he also has enough units from his college coursework that he can teach English language arts with board authority. So he qualifies under that provision of number of units. So this is just board authorization to allow him to continue to teach language arts in addition to history.
I move to have Mr. Funk teach departmentalized classes.
Alright, and a second? Alright, roll call? Aye.
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 Aye. Alright. Moving on to approval of agreement between Washington Union School District and the superintendent for the 25-26 year adjusted salary schedule.
back in June, I believe you approved, an adjustment to the administrative salary schedule, you added steps onto it. We did not discuss mine at the time, my contract calls for, a positive evaluation before I move on any salary steps. So, we finished my evaluation in June, thank you for a positive evaluation. So that would allow me to move from step 8, which I was on last year, to step 9 in the adjusted, schedule that you approved in June.
I move to approve the salary schedule adjustment and the next step, for your salary schedule.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Huh?
I was waiting for.
Oh, I know. We just did it like 10 minutes. Okay, moving on to approval of updated board policies.
Yeah, any questions? There was one board policy that I just wanted to point out, it was the, boundaries policy. That was something that came through, it was a recommendation from the Monterey County Office of Education. It establishes personal and professional boundaries between teachers and students, teachers and teachers. Highly recommended that we have a policy like that in our board policy manual, to just, make sure that we are acknowledging and we're aware of the importance of, education professionals maintaining appropriate boundaries. So that's included in this policy.
Any questions or discussion on the other board policies? Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the updated board policies.
Okay, a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second reading?
Done.
Alright. Approval of consent agenda.
There's a lot on there. Is it true about Kimmy?
Taco?
Yeah, she's kind of listed under a heading under retirement.
She left us to pursue other opportunities, yeah.
Who's that?
She's teaching at Catalina.
Sorry, I'm late to the game. She's a fantastic individual.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve? Okay, and a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, and on to future meeting dates?
Oh, boy, do we have a lot. I guess we
Our
got
next
that
board
over.
meeting is September 10th, but I'll be communicating with you as we start setting our
Yeah,
meetings.
those will help.
And then I did want to tell you before we adjourn, I got a call from Monterey County Office of Education today. The county board met this morning. The request for territory transfer is
Oh,
going to a feasibility study. So the county board will be holding public hearings, both in the Spreckles district and in our district. The public hearing for our district will be September 17th at 7 o'clock in the San Benancho NPR. So I'll give you more information as we get closer, and I'll be putting that information out. But I got that phone call this
And
afternoon.
there's nothing that, as a board.
These are all community driven.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
those are
just- we
county
can show our
board,
interest.
yes,
Yeah,
you can
okay.
show up,
Okay.
yeah. But I'll get some guidance from Dr. Gus as to what, if any, role we play in all of this. I don't think any, but.
Okay.
Yeah, the only statement I would make is those are odd boundaries from where we're at now. Those are boundaries before Las Palmas.
Right.
Correct.
Right, and it just seems odd that you move those folks to Spreckles.
Yeah.
You were gonna say anything else? I just wanted to thank Tracy for being here and acknowledge her.
Yay, Tracy.
You don't have a.
Keeping our minutes for us.
Thank you.
It's been a challenge with the internet going in and out, I've been sitting here.
Oh, shoot.
Type it in a Word doc,
And
save
then,
it.
well, I did take some notes.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, well, it's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Alright, do I have
And-
any, motion to adjourn?
I have adjourned.